Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. Great to have you guys along, especially all you guys on Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute, and of course, loyal subscribers and viewers here on YouTube. Thank you guys for all of your support. The New York Times, Elon Musk becomes Twitter's largest shareholder. The Tesla chief executive, who has been critical of Twitter's content moderation policies, purchased 9.2% of the social media company. Elon Musk, the billionaire chief executive of Tesla and the world's wealthiest person, bought a nearly 10% stake in Twitter, the social media platform where he has more than 80 million followers and shares everything from business ideas and memes to the past weekend, his experience at a famed Berlin nightclub. So amazing to think that Elon was dropping all those hints and doing all those surveys when in fact he was on his way to getting a huge stake in the social media platform, which is quite interesting. I'm sure the Twitter Aussie there, the echo chamber, is probably a little concerned, but we'll check on that here momentarily. And I just want to give just a few more little articles, or look into this from a few more other articles. It's really kind of interesting. Bloomberg, Elon Musk takes 9.2 stake in Twitter after hinting at shakeup, right? So obviously he may be doing more. It'll be interesting to see how much further he takes this. But nonetheless, I'm going to try to skip through some of the part here. Twitter shares surge as much as 27% after Musk's purchase was revealed Monday in a regulatory filing. The gain marked the stock's biggest intraday increase since its first day of trading following the company's 2013 initial public offering. So the initial IPO there back in 2013. The stake is worth about $2.89 billion based on Friday's market close. That is absolutely incredible that the intraday increase is that large. But you guys may remember we talked about this in a other video where Elon Musk had posted this particular tweet, or tweeted, I should say, tweeted a tweet where he says free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. I couldn't agree more. But there is confusion here in our country over democracy, because you'll hear the left, the progressives, and the Democrats constantly say, that our democracy is under threat. Well, the thing is, you have to understand the distinctions that they're trying to make. You see, the United States is a constitutional republic that practices democracy, right? We are not a democracy in and of itself, as in the Greek definition of democracy, where it is essentially mob rule. But we are a constitutional republic that practices democracy, that allows individuals to vote. And so when it comes to the left, to progressives and Democrats, they're more of a cultural, multicultural democracy where authoritarianism, censorship, and suppression, and attacking their political enemies with various forms of authoritarianism is more of what they practice. Now, that's a bit hyperbolic and exaggerated, but the point being is we have seen how the left has already hijacked our culture, hijacked our language, and hijacked our definitions. And as we have talked about here, part of the reason why they censor is because they don't want dissenting voices. They don't want people who will probably bring better ideas, better concepts, better solutions to the table that they themselves can't think of. And the problem, and the reason I should say, they don't come up with better ideas or better solutions or better paths to gaining what you need to do to reach your goal is because their ideas are often pretty terrible. And as we can see right now under Joe Biden and or the establishment, we can see how those ideas and concepts are destroying our country essentially. Let's take a look at the Daily Mail. Elon Musk becomes Twitter's biggest shareholder. Okay, we kind of know that idea. We're just kind of trying to find some different coverage and different explanations. It means the Tesla co-founder has more than quadrupled the shares of Twitter's founder, Jack Dorsey, who owns 2.25%. Now, I want to talk about that here just a second. I didn't think about pulling this up, but I should. His passive stake in the company is valued of up to $2.9 billion. We just covered that. The news prompted Twitter's stock to soar. We talked about that as well. And then, of course, here you can see his purchase that he made, or at least part of the information, of course. We're not going to give all the details. And Twitter share prices, we'll have to wait. Obviously, this only goes up to April the 1st. But I'm sure the shares have caught up. But I found this interesting, too, that of all of the particular tweets that Twitter could have shown, they had to go with the one where he's kind of standing up to Putin. But then again, I think it could be parody of what Joe Biden said when he said he went toe-to-toe with Vladimir Putin. So he challenged Putin to a duel, I guess you could say, a single combat, if you will. And given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, I should say the echo chamber, and the standing ground for the Twitterazzi, failing to adhere to the free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. Well, again, people will say, a private platform, it's a private business, they can do whatever. But here's the thing, and we hear this often. I hear this a lot just across all social media because people just kind of speak in sound bites now, in generalities. And that is that it's one thing for you to say that a private company is exercising its free speech, or it is exercising its ability to protect its content and its users from what they perceive to be content that they don't agree with, would be the simplest way to explain it. And that is either they are either a publisher or they are a platform, right? So they can't be both. They're either a platform, because when it comes to President Trump or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they say it's a public square, so it is a public platform suddenly. But when something comes up that they don't agree with, say, for example, the president simply being the president, and then all the insinuations and accusations of him inciting the events at January 6th, which didn't happen because we've covered it many times. The FBI said there was no evidence that there was any sort of coordinated effort by any one group to basically riot on the Capitol, essentially is what it is. Now that I've completely lost my train of thought, suffice it to say this. We'll go back to what I was initially talking about with censorship. And that is that I believe, and as you guys probably share the same idea, and we've talked about it quite often, the reason we see a lot of this censorship is because the left, the progressives, the establishment, and the Democrats simply do not like when other people either question what they do, present better ideas, better concepts, better solutions that they themselves can't think of or that they can't come up with, right? So they want this exclusivity for themselves. And it's like we say when it comes to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and our laws. It's never really about that. It's about exceptions to them, right? That certain groups of people who may be, when defined by the left, are alienated, isolated, and just kind of shun, that these individuals require special treatment, special rights. Now, I am not suggesting or implying that in any way our Constitution or our Bill of Rights intentionally and willfully do this to people. In other words, it's only available for certain groups, because that's an absurd statement, because our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our laws, freedoms, and liberties are for everyone. However, when interpreted by the left and progressives and Democrats, there's always this bend that there is some sort of group or organization or individuals who are out there intentionally trying to hold people back. But it's very rarely ever proven. But nonetheless, I think that it's interesting that Elon is moving towards or made this purchase. And then it's kind of a few little things he's saying, just kind of, doing his little kidding around sort of thing. He says, oh, hi, LOL. Berlin rocks, because he's currently in Berlin, as we saw from the posting. I don't know what this blinding white Bandai Namco logo thing is. I have no idea what that is. And then, of course, I'm inspired by curiosity. This is what drives me. So let us expand the scope and scale of consciousness so that we may aspire to understand the universe. So I think he's just kind of waxing here. But what I wanted to share with you guys, kind of a side note here, I'll have to go to my notes, my ever-growing notes. I accidentally went to Video ETA. Good site, by the way. Because I have here tucked away a little interesting story. 4 months after Jack Dorsey resigns, he says, Twitter founder Jack Dorsey expresses regret for damaging the internet. So 4 months after he resigns, Dorsey is trying to, I guess, take blame for what has happened with the Twitterazzi and what's going on there with Twitter. But I don't know how much influence Jack actually has anymore over his platform. But this is kind of very telling that he would come out and talk about this 4 months after he resigns and took no action during the time that he was, of course, still the CEO, owner, and creator of the, well, I don't want to say it's the largest social media platform, but most certainly one of the a popular platform nonetheless, or what would be considered the mainstream, where the Twitterazzi and the mainstream media and many left progressives and all their groups and ilk all hang out within their echo chamber, which is why so many of them have to ask me things about Trump or just things about politics in general, or they just come out and say, I don't know anything about politics at all. But nonetheless, suffices to say, huge news about Elon Musk purchasing Twitter, or Twitter stock, getting a large portion of Twitter stock. It's going to be very interesting to see where this leads and how the Twitterazzi is going to react. So we're here. I don't see like anything in particular here on Twitter that's trending in regards to that. There's Jack Dorsey here. I'm thinking that probably this is just going to be a little something very similar to what we just talked about, where he may have some regrets. But it says here, Elon Musk wasn't happy with Jack Dorsey's left Twitter. Well, that's pretty interesting. That's Bloomberg saying that, too. It's kind of interesting. So Elon Musk stake 9.2, Jack Dorsey stake 2.25. So as we said about the article earlier, I don't know how much influence Dorsey has over his own platform anymore. So that's pretty much all we see here, just individuals talking about the purchase, massive stakes. It's interesting, isn't it? You think 9.2 seems pretty small, but in reality, it's quite large when it comes to this. But I am very interested to see how this is all going to turn out, and whether or not this can actually, help Twitter in and of itself. If you haven't already, of course, follow me here on Twitter. I always appreciate your guys' support. And that's what I have for you guys today on this Monday, April the 4th. If you haven't already, below this video, you will find the various links to my social media where I post daily. And, of course, a great thanks to all you at Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute for your continued support. And, of course, all of you amazing people here on YouTube. Thank you so much for your continued support. And I will see all you guys in the next video.